Well, hello. Welcome to the 22nd day of April 2025. My name is Kurt, and this is my daily Good Life meditation. This is an exercise that I do each and every day, a little bit after waking up, to remember my life objectives and principles, those which are outlined in my book, Going Alone. I also use the time to think about the last 24 hours and how I did with the various challenges and opportunities that I met. I recite and remember the 8 objectives of my creed, and I prepare myself for the coming day. But before I do all of that, I want to just get started with a little bit of a thank you to and welcome to new subscribers. It's glad to have you here. Just to let you know that although this video is happening in Japan, in my backyard, in fact, I'm here at this is my outdoor writing desk, or my outdoor reading desk, really. And this is my bamboo forest in my backyard, and my garden is beyond. I'm out here outside my room. So this is and that's the meadow on the other side of the house. Although I'm in Japan, this video is not about Japan necessarily. It's just me going over the last 24 hours, talking about what happened. It's kind of, think of it like a journal, but more of a journal where I'm trying to not just record things, but I'm trying to identify where I had challenges and how I did relative to those challenges. Did I handle them well? Okay, and with that, I do need to give a bit of a disclaimer. I do talk about sensitive subjects sometimes in these videos, namely death, which makes people uncomfortable sometimes, so just a heads up. Also, a big thank you to my supporters on Patreon, and those of you who watch my videos on YouTube, and my members on YouTube. Thank you. Okay, with that, let's get started. I'm going to do 3 things now. I'll talk about the last 24 hours. I do typically one of 2 things, or both things. I'll talk about things that happened throughout the day yesterday that were either interesting or challenging from a thought perspective, or just noteworthy as I continue this endeavor of life. But I'll also note anything that happened that kind of took me by surprise, and I found myself in a moment of uncertainty. And how did I handle it? That's what I'm really interested in, is how I can handle the uncertain moments. And I've got a big one today to talk about from yesterday. There's 4 items on the list. But before I do that, I'll say that I'll talk about those. I'll talk about yesterday, then I'll go over the creed, and then I'll talk about the plan for the day. So let's get into it. In the last 24 hours, I have 4 items that I'm going to discuss. One is called excitement filling the day. The second one is accident. The third is the farmer's gift, and the fourth is the past calls. So let's talk about those one by one. So first, excitement filling the day. Yesterday was a really big day for us in terms of our life here, in our retired life here in Japan. We're having work done on our bath area, our Japanese bath. We're having a whole new one put in. So having them rip out all the old infrastructure, and a whole new Japanese bath called a unit bath will be installed. Additionally, we're getting a new changing area and laundry room, all redone, and the toilet room is being completely redone, including a new toilet. So a lot of big things happening. Yesterday was demolition day. So that means the demo crew came yesterday and tore out everything. And it was an interesting day. There were a couple of things that happened. There was one moment where they appear to have broken a pipe, or something happened with some water, and I began to panic a little bit. And then so here's what I'm usually doing in this video, is I'm looking at the things that happened and how I reacted to it. So I panicked a little bit, but then I used hashtag limits. When I say hashtag, and then I use a word, I'm referring to the principles or the objectives of my creed, which are outlined in my book, Going Alone. Hashtag limits, which stands for the principle called true limits and true opportunities, where I try to keep myself cognizant of what is really within the scope of my control. What can and can I not do? By knowing these things, I can better tune my response. Like, it's not worthwhile to get upset or to take action towards something that I have no capability or ability or business doing. Now, it is my house, so when someone breaks a pipe, which seemed to have been what happened, um, I have an interest in that. So that happened, and I could hear the water, and I could see the men rustling around doing various things. And I panicked a little bit, but then I caught myself. I used the recognition of true limit. First, I used temperance to control my emotion, and then I recognized what is within my control. And I said, "Well, Kurt, you're totally out of your league here. You have no idea what's going on. You don't speak the language very well. You don't understand the construction methodology here, these guys' methods. The one guy seemed to be a little bit panicked, but he seems to know what he's doing. Just let it go, Kurt. Let it happen. There's nothing I can do. Anything that I try to do at this point will be getting in the way of their smooth operations. These guys, this is what they do for a living." And that's exactly what I did. And I stood down, and I actually went around to the other side of this that was happening up in the front of the house. I went around to the side of the house to let myself just calm down a little bit. And then I came back and I stood by and I said, "I'll stand here, available to help in any way I can," which is very limited. Within a short amount of time, the water leak was stopped. They had repaired whatever had happened, and we were back in good shape. Now, it turns out that the water didn't even leak all over the place. The water was, leak that was happening was leaking into the tub. So the water simply drained away down the drain properly. So no harm, no foul. Whatever happened was handled in due course by professionals. Me, as a non-professional, poor Japanese speaker, had really no business or capability of helping out very much. So I would say that I gave myself a good grading on that one. I handled that well. I used temperance to control my emotions. I thought about and recognized my limits, and I took some action to ensure that I was of a stable and measured response by removing myself from this situation, literally, so I couldn't hear the leaking water, going to the backyard for a little bit, but then coming back to be at the ready in case they needed something. So that was that. Now, we got through the whole day. It was smooth as clockwork. It's just as much as you would expect in Japan. You know, the Japanese are famous for their processes and their efficiencies. And there were really, was it 3 or 4 teams in operation? There was the demolition team, there were the plumbers, there was the representative from Takara Standard, who are the unit bath manufacturers, who will be coming in tomorrow. And then there was actually 5 teams. Then there was the concrete man, who showed up in the afternoon, and then there was our contractor. 5 teams. The contractor kind of just orchestrating everything. So in our little narrow driveway here to our house, the cars would, and he told me this ahead of time. I said, "How are we going to handle all the traffic?" Now, we're lucky that all of the neighbors in our street, we live literally at the end of if you could call it a cul-de-sac, the closest you'd get to a cul-de-sac in Japan. Literally at the end. And we're lucky because almost everyone on the street, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 houses, 7 houses. And all of the houses clear out during the day because they either have adults who are at work. If they have children, all the children are of school age, like junior high school or college. The kids are gone. And the only people that remain are 2 doors down. There's the grandmother who's here all day, but she has a scooter, so she doesn't need to get in or out really. And she and I have become friends. So I made her well aware of what was happening, and she's totally cool. And then down at the very end of the street, there's the farmer family that have the stand where you can buy stuff, and anything going on at the end of our street, they're on the other end, so they're not impacted at all. They're totally cool. Oh, and I met a new neighbor at the very end down here. It turns out he works at the Ferrari dealership here in Shizuoka. Did you know there's a Ferrari dealership here in Shizuoka City? He does something there, because I saw him yesterday. I hadn't actually met him before, and I saw he was out. I don't know what he was doing at home on a Monday, but he was home out in the yard, and I saw him, so I went over. And this is something that my daughter has, this is my journal, so this is something my daughter has complimented me on. She said, "Dad, even though your Japanese isn't very good, nothing stops you. I will boldly go into any situation and using my poor Japanese strive. And and I'll find a way. So, people sometimes ask me, what am I going to do if, I wind up here alone, if Yumiko dies first? And that was a question that I got last week. What will I do? Well, I'll just stay and I'll figure out a way. I'm not afraid to, I'm not afraid. I don't let my poor Japanese stand in the way of me trying, even though I know, how much it must be painful for others to hear. So I walked over to the guy's place. I saw him outside. I said, and I was telling him Japanese, hey, hi, I'm your neighbor down the street. By the way, I'm sorry, there's a lot of noise going on, and it's going on. We'll be doing this for the whole week. And he was like, oh, cool, no problem. And so he immediately launched into introductions, et cetera, et cetera. That's how I learned he works at the Ferrari dealership, which I still can't believe that Shizuoka has enough of a Ferrari consumer base to warrant a Ferrari dealership. Anyway, so back on the subject. So I said there's 5 parties involved in this week-long affair, right, being orchestrated by the contractor. And the cars were literally, they would pile up 3 or 4 cars deep down our little thing. The reason I started saying this was that those 3 or 4 cars, the only person that they're going to interfere with during the course of the day is the grandmother 2 doors down, but she has a scooter, so she's totally cool. So we're good. But they were like just coming and going, and they would come in and they all know each other, and they would they'd take off their shoes and they'd bow at each other. They got their paperwork and they're taking notes and they're taking measurements and they're going away. And Yumiko and I, it was like by lunchtime yesterday was demo day. They were supposed to have all the demo done. They had a team of 3 people doing the demo, and by lunchtime they still hadn't made much progress by our estimation. Yumiko and I were like, there's no way they're going to get it done. Sure enough, they got it all done. Had the truck all loaded up, off they go. Empty room, and this almost looks like they came in and took a big saw and just cut everything away, all 4 walls and the ceiling, took out all the concrete below. It's just bare floor dirt down below. Amazing how they do all that. Yumiko had set out, my wife had set out drinks. We bought a cooler and put in tea, bottled green tea, and cans of coffee and all kinds of snacks and little cake things out on the thing so that the workers could enjoy that throughout the day. Good job, Yumiko. That was a real hit. So that all went really well. Demolition day went perfect. It was a good day. Then there was that one, so there was only, with regard to my journaling, my asking myself how I did, there was just that one incident there relative to the construction work that I had to respond to, and I think I responded well. Now, comes to the next item, excitement, feeling, and it was, Yumiko and I were both excited throughout the day. That was the whole point of this line here, was to say how excited we were. Now, the next item here is accident. So, there was some drama yesterday. So, we had, the Ollie, the black dog, stayed with Dad yesterday, he lives just down the river, 5-minute walk down the river. We can drive down there too. And so I kept Rudy with me because Rudy's my boy. He's not cool with anybody else but me. So he stayed with me, and I kept Rudy. I parked the Jimny in the back behind the trees here. And I was out in the yard doing yard work, and I would walk we have a trail through the bamboo forest. I would walk through the forest to come check on things, and I was out there if Yumiko needed me, and she would come out. And you see how we were. So I was minding Rudy, and when I had Rudy in the car, I had the air. It was kind of hot yesterday, so I kept the engine running and the air conditioner going. But twice during the day, I needed to go down to Dad's house, and I went down to deliver lunch to Dad, and then I went down again to take Ollie for a walk. Dad's too old to be walking the dog. He's 90. Now, like I said, it was a lot of excitement yesterday. I was a little worked up. Now, when you go down to Dad's house, let's see if I can do this. The house is here. There's a road like this, and then you back in, and there's a fence between the next house over. I was kind of rushing, and I wasn't paying attention, and I went too far, and when I backed into the fence. I hit it pretty hard and knocked the whole damn thing. I didn't knock it over, but I took the whole fence and kind of like that thing. And I bent the poles. Damn it. And I put a big dent in our nice new Jimny. just in one panel though, but it's a pretty significant one. So here's the thing. So like I said, this exercise is not about me telling you the details of what's happening, but it's about me looking at how I responded to these things, and did I do a good job? Well, as soon as I heard what I had hit, and I knew what it was, I knew it wasn't a person that I hit. I knew I'd hit the fence. I looked back, I saw that I'd hit the fence. I checked around, no one was there, and I pulled out and then corrected and came back and parked properly. So this is how I responded. Got out, examined the damage. Immediately, huge wave of damn it, wishing I could get in a time machine, go back 30 seconds and redo that and pay more attention. I can't. So the first thing I did, and again, I immediately enlisted Temperance. This is where maybe doing this every day for, over 5 years really helps, because my first response was to say, control yourself, Kurt. Control your emotions. You can't go back. You can't undo this. All you can do now is move forward. You've moved the car into a safe place. The engine is off. No one's hurt. The car is damaged. The fence is damaged. Here's what you're going to do, Kurt. You're going to assess the situation. You're going to take some photographs. Then you're going to take the dogs for a walk, because that's what you came here for. And when the dog's walk is done, then you'll go home and you'll explain to Yumiko what happened, and you'll let Yumiko handle talking to the neighbors. That's, even though I could go over and do that, that would be messy, and it wouldn't be. So I said earlier that I could handle everything on my own if my wife died and I was left here on my own. I could do it. I could walk over to the neighbors. I know the grandmother is there, so someone was home, and I could have walked over and done that, but it would be messy, and it would be more efficient to ask my wife to do it. So I went home and I explained to Yumiko what had happened, and I even was careful about that. I thought of how to word it as I was walking through the bamboo forest. She was sitting outside right below me here on the patio downstairs, and I thought I would lead with, "Hey, I've got some news. No one was hurt, but I had an accident." So, to allay any concern about that, and then explain it to her, which I did. And Yumiko, to her credit, I mean, she is such a wonderful human being. Telling her no one was hurt up front was the right thing. As soon as she knew that no one was hurt, she was like, so what? It's just stuff, right? We'll just take care of it, right? I really appreciated her response. And she does love that Jimmy, right? I mean, even the slightest little scratch, she's like, trying to do like that. So it's her baby. She really, really she's indifferent for mostly to the significance of such things. She's really wise in that capacity. She's always has been. So I said, and